Good morning, friends. How are you? This is Indigo Moon. This morning, I have to share a story with you. It is a story that I had to think of because I usually begin my year off with my students with a story, something that is compelling in one way or another, so that they will be inspired to think and to have a certain ingredient to a recipe that we all must have. So here it is. A man and a woman fall head over heels in love and decide to begin a family. They start the family and the wife gets sick. But before getting sick, she actually has a child by him. Now, when they first got married, she had a little cough, but the cough stopped, and she ended up giving birth to a son. This boy child began growing up and loving and caring for his mother. But with her getting sick, she ended up going to the doctor, and the doctor told her that she had cancer. She didn't not accept the information that she received, because she realized that with her anger and jealousy that she developed for a sibling, she realized that some things would come with her feelings. So she decided that she would try to heal. With her healing, she decided that she would try to help the community by doing volunteer work while her husband went to work each day. But she grew sick later in years and ended up passing away. So the son was old enough at this point to go to work with his father, but the son still was not of age to go to school. So he began going to work with his father after his mother passed away. And each day he would go to work with his father, he got to see how his father had to work for a mean old rich man. The rich man was in a wheelchair, and they'd have to go to different locations, but they do more of their work through walking. So they walk through Manhattan, and they go to the 66th Street, and they go to the French Alliance Institute, where the man would have to go there and he would teach. And they would wait patiently until he was finished teaching, and then they would take him and walk him back home in that same wheelchair. And they did this every day. So one day he was running late for work, and he had to get the old man dressed to go to work. And the old man got very upset, and he started yelling at him. He said, "Why are you so foolish? You're making me late. I got to go to work. All the years I've worked here, I've never been late. What is your problem?" The man said, "It seems as though I'm having trouble seeing, sir." He said, "Well, you need to figure out what the problem is and get me to work on time. I need to get to work on time. I'm a college professor. What kind of example am I setting for my students if I'm not on time?" So the man hurried up and got him dressed and scurried off and got him to work. He was 5 minutes late, and the man apologized profusely on the way getting him back to the French Alliance Institute in Manhattan. So on the way home, the son began to cry. And the man said, "What is that sound? What is that sound?" He said, "I don't know, sir." He said, "Son, is that you?" And he said, "Yes, father." So why are you crying? He said, "Because you work so hard and you're being mistreated by a man who does not respect you." And he said, "Son, you do not need to cry. This problem will be solved by tomorrow morning." So they walked the man back. And as they walked the man back, got on the elevator and got the man up to his apartment. He opened up the door and he pushed the man in. He said, "Sir, this will be my last day of work." He said, "You cannot quit. What kind of work will you have?" He said, "First of all, you don't know anything but taking care of me." He said, "The same way that I got the job for working with you is the same way I will be able to get any job that I want." So he said, he drops the keys And when he drops the keys, the son runs over and gets the keys and gives the keys to the father. The father then reaches over and tries to touch the wheelchair, and finally catches the man's hand and puts the keys in the man's hand. He says, "Sir, why is it that you had to touch me in order to give you my keys?" He says, "Sir, just like you, I cannot see. I may be a blind man, but I have integrity." He said, "Wait a minute here. How did you get this job if you couldn't see?" He said, "The same way I got this job is the same way I'll get any job that I want, by being honest, by working by the sweat of my brow, and by being sincere. I will get any job that I want based upon this." So the man was really troubled. He couldn't believe that this man was blind like him, and he was able to get him to work all these days. He said, "Wait a minute, before you leave, I have to ask one more question. How did you get me to work each day?" He said, "I went ahead when I decided to accept this position, I made sure that I counted my steps for everywhere that I needed to go. And making sure that I counted my steps, I made sure that my hands and my hearing were my vision to help me get everywhere that I've had to go. And knowing that you did not have many places to go outside, and you order your groceries by a woman, I never had that issue. All I had to do was worry about getting you to work and back home safely each day." So as they left and closed the door behind them, the man sat in his chair. And he thought to himself, he said, "This man and his son were my friends all these years. What will I have? Who will I turn to?" It was at that point that he decided that he was going to move his wheelchair into the bedroom, and he wrote a will out. And in his will, he left everything to this man and his son. Although he had other family members, he realized that no one had ever come to visit him all these years. No one had ever worried about him all of these years that this man worked for him. This man worked for him for 10 years and brought his son to work with him each and every day, never complaining. He never even knew the man was blind like he was. So he wrote out his will, and he coughed and ended up choking on his saliva and passed away that night. The next day, a courier came with the information to the father, telling him how his employer had passed away and left him everything. You see, this is why integrity is so important. This man lived his life by the sweat of his brow and by his integrity. You never know what another person is going through, but if a person leads a livelihood with love, with respect, and by working hard, there's so much that you can achieve. It's important that you know that, because during this day and time, we have so many people, celebrities, we have famous people who you may never know much about except for their money and how they work, but you'll never know where their heart truly is. It is important that you recall that. You have a wonderful day. This is Indigo Moon. Have a lovely one.